Hello chess fans, today we are going to see three games. The first game is between UA and Floor from 1939. So this is one of the best games of the 5th world champion Max UA. Let's start the game. D4, D5, C4, C6, Knight F3, Knight F6, Slav. Okay, so this is the Slav defense. Now let's go. Knight C3, G6, Bishop F4, Bishop G7. Bishop F4 is good move. White develops the bishop before playing E3. And let me tell you a nuance about this opening. He played G6. See, there is D4, Knight F6, C4, G6, Knight C3, and now you will know that Bishop D7 is King's Indian, but there is D5, the Grunfeld defense, where Black attacks the center, hyper modern setup, goes Bishop G7, short castle, and plays C5. But here, when you play C6 in the Grunfeld, you are going to the passive setup. And Black has done certainly that. He has played G6 in he's played C6 in a Grunfeld type position, so that's good for White. Now E3, short castle, and now Queen B3 nuance. Like nice move by UA, interesting move by 5th world champion UA. Why? So Queen B3. Now thing is that the ideal place for this Black Knight is D7, B8 Knight, because A6 is off the charts and C6 is covered, so B7, sorry D7. And when you here go to D7, then it's blocked because C into D5 is coming, and you lose a pawn. That's why. And if Queen F5 check, Knight C3, so you lose a pawn that way. That's not good. And if you play Bishop G4, thinking to take this knight, spoiling the structure. First of all, we can play Knight E5. There's no pin. Second of all, we can just take Queen into B7 and be a pawn up, and we are winning the second pawn because the rook is hanging. Knight D7, Queen into C6, and that's good for us. So that's the general things of this setup. Now let's go and examine ahead. So in the game, obviously not Knight BD7 or Bishop G4. Opponent was good enough to recognize this. He is Salomon Floor, one of the best chess players in the world at that time, and he played D into C4. Now there is a nuance here too. The nuance is that normally you play Bishop E2 or Bishop D3 in a London type of setup, but thing is that Black will now take D into C4, and you spent an extra move at it. That's not good. Bishop E2, D into C4, Bishop into C4. But now after Queen B3, you put pressure on the D5 pawn. Black can't develop his comfortable way, so now Black has to take D into C4. That's the nuance of this position of Queen B3. So D into C4, Bishop into C4, Knight BD7, developing the knight. And now as you can see, this is the passive setup. Black's pieces are passive while White's are active, and he has the center. He has a better position. Now Knight E5 was played, attacking the F7 pawn. Queen E8, why Queen E8? So Everything has a reason, so does queen e8. Now idea of playing queen e8 is that you need to defend this pawn. Why did white get his good knight against his bad knight? Thing is that the d7 knight is an important knight. It can create counterplay in the queen side, and it is one potential defender of the king side. And it is most importantly supporting the c5 brick. You don't want him to allow that. You don't want to allow him that c5. Then his position would suddenly become very active. So that's why knight e5. Now queen e8 defending the f7 pawn. It's a double attack. You want to trade and also you want to take that f7 pawn. That's why black played queen e8. Black quickly understood it. If you play knight into e5, then I play bishop into e5. And now there's a kind of a positional pin because white bishop is bad because of the two center pawns d4, e3, and black's bishop is a good bishop and defender. So this is kind of a positional pin. He played queen e8, not showing his cards. e6 would be met by knight into d7, I think. Or I think knight into f7 is coming. No, not knight into f7. No, rook into f7. Knight into f7, not possible. Knight into d7, and now you just continue with your plan. So that's how the game goes. Now queen e8. Here it was played short castle. No, not short castle. Important move, bishop e2, prophylaxis against knight h5. Attacking the f4, that's prophylaxis. So I have spoke about prophylaxis in my videos. Very shortly I'll tell you that prophylaxis is about knowing our opponent's knowing and preventing our opponent's plan before it even happens. That's prophylaxis. Opponent's plan is knight h5, we know that, and we prevent it. The questions of prophylaxis are: what is my opponent's next move, and what does my opponent want? If you ask these questions at each move, your prophylaxis will increase. This is the tiny summation of prophylaxis. So bishop e2 was played. Now prophylaxis against knight h5. e6 should not be played because it weakens the king side. And after e6, knight c4 is coming. Like many would want to play e6, play knight d5, solid game, but knight c4. Knight c4 I think is very strong. Knight c4, yeah, both are good, knight c4 and bishop g3. Knight c4, see. Knight c4, very strong move. Now you just have too much advantage because of the weak square. That's why e6 cannot be played. Knight into e5 was played. Bishop into e5. Now queen d8. Now queen d8. Black gets his queen back into the game. Short castle. Queen b6. Now very important moment. Pause the video and think. Opponent wants to exchange the queen. Now should you exchange the queen or should you not? Pause the video and think. And also think that if you exchange, will you exchange on his ground or your ground? Will you take queen into b6, a into b6, or let him play queen into b3, a into b3? What will you do? Or you will just discard the queen, exchange and move away. Decline it. Accept or decline. Let's see. Pause the video. Very important decision. Okay, I hope you pause because this is important decision. It was played. If you said queen into b6, your answer is totally so If you play queen into b6, your answer is totally wrong. So why wrong? Uh, let's see first. Queen into b6, a into b6, and now thing is that these two pawns are double. These are not weak because the c6 pawn is here. Then these are the strength, and b5, b4, bishop e6, and the a2 pawn and the queen side will feel miserable of white's exchange. And if you let him exchange on our grounds, let's say h3, queen into b3, a into b3. Now this will happen that these two, see, think this one, let's say, if you let him exchange on our ground, then it will happen as so that you don't have any c3 pawn, you have only a c3 knight, and when you push b4 b5 there will be nothing achieved, and these two are just simple double pawns to attack. And think of it naturally, you have a space advantage because of your d4 versus c6 and your e3 versus e7. I mean, yeah, d4 versus c6, you have a space advantage. Why do you want to exchange the queens? Basic rule of space advantage is when you have space advantage, try not to exchange your pieces. Don't exchange your pieces except queens. Also, I want to tell you that this rule is not universal. Every rule has one exception, and this rule also has. Every rule has exceptions. No rule is universal. This is very important. This rule also has exceptions, but this is not an exception. So we play queen a3, we have the space advantage, we need to attack. Queen a3. Attacking the e7 pawn. Rook e8, defending. Rook a c1. Look at the energy of white's pieces. Every piece is being well placed. It's the 5th world champion, no amateur, okay? So rook a c1, the rook is positioned on the half open c file and can create threats on the c6 pawn. Bishop f8, now some time thinking of knight d5 e6 ideas. Knight a4, attacking the queen, natural move, queen d8. Though knight c5 seems natural, this is not the time of knight c5. First you need to develop. Rook fd1, and now it's good for white because white's two rooks are positioned on very good squares, and now you'll see what is the might of the space advantage. Such an attack he did. Let's see how it begins. So rook fd1, now e6 seems logical, but knight d5 also. Knight d5 was played, e4. Now this knight has no good square seemingly, but e6, attacking the queen on a3, so queen f3, queen moves to active square, knight b6, and now knight c5, declining the exchange, knight d7, and now he has to take, and now we have very good prospects of attack. Opponent's all king side pawns, 6 of his pawns are on light squares out of 7. This is very bad. This bishop is just turning into a monster. Once this bishop is exchanged, it's be over. So bishop f6, attacking the queen, queen a5, logical move. And now pause the video and think, what will you do? As you can see, world champions are all genius and unbelievable moves they come up with. Uwe here played rook to c5. What an amazing move. Rook to c5. My god. A piece of a strategy plus tactics. What a one. Okay. Why? Rook to c5. Idea simple. See, this bishop f8, we need to erase it. Whatever it takes. Rook. Whatever it takes. Bishop into c5, d into c5. Now our threat is very simple to move threat. Queen c7 he plays because the d7 bishop is in attack. I play queen e3, queen h6, game over. Goodbye. No way to just escape mate. You have to give your queen for it. Even then I don't think you can be saved. So 9.0, there's no way. See, he's even telling e5 game over. It's just game over. No kind of scope. So that's why it was played. It was not played this. He was not going to trick. But still it's game over. You can't even save this game if white attacked precisely. Queen into a2 and you might say, okay, nice one move trick to fall for amateurs. But now what? What is the idea of your rook c5? Where are you going to position the rook? Are you going to play rook g5, rook g3, rook h3? That's too late. And now Mr. Lewis says, tactics. Rook to h5. What an insane move. Now he is basing this on tactics. How? See, now the rook is doing a very important job on the h file whenever they need, like queen h3 is white's threat. Now if you do this and do it on threat, queen h3, see the number is going up, 9.7. This much can have moved difference, 10.3. The depth, the number 10.6. Let's go. So threat of white. Okay, why does rook h5 work? Rook h5 works because of certain reasons. Like if d into h5, I play queen to g3 check. Bishop g7, queen into g7, it's just a mate, pure mate. That's why rook h5. That's the idea. I mean, that's why it works, or else it would not work. Now e5, d into e5, bishop e6, and also his opponent Salomon Floor is very resourceful. He finds resources very well, and he is a tenacious defender. Queen f4, good move. Just style, and queen h4 is coming. Actually, why e5? Because to prevent queen h3. Queen f4, queen h4 is coming with same idea as we saw. Queen into b2, and now it may seem a kind of unresponsible. Come on, you are getting mated and you are taking pawns. But this is very important. See, now in the game bishop f1 was played. If you play queen to h4, then queen into e2, and all of a sudden you don't have time to execute your combination. Rook into h7, queen into d1 is not just a rook, but it's back rank mate. Even if you had your king, even if you had h3, you would be winning in this variation. But no, you are not. That's why I was played bishop to f1. Precise calculation by EUA. So bishop f1 was played. Bishop e7. Now queen h4. Now queen h4. Threatening rook into h7. Bishop to c5. Tenacious. Until the last second. Whatever it takes to save this game. Now rook h6 was played. An important move. important, not important. Okay. Now, why rook h6? Okay, if rook into h7, here comes out of the blue tactic queen into f2 check. Bishop into f2 is all incorrect. Firstly, rook into h7 is a beautiful blunder. Secondly, bishop into f2 is a beautiful blunder. Why? King to h1 comes. Beautiful move. Bishop into h4, rook h8 mate. That's the idea. You don't have any more checks, but queen into f2 check precisely saves the deal. Now, king h1 would be made, queen into f2, king h1, queen g1, queen into f2, bishop into f2 check, king into f2, king into h7. It doesn't matter, I win because now I have too much material. I have 3, I am plus 3 and I'll just play rook h8 the next move. Literally, if you ask what is next threat, you can't even do anything. Rook d, if I'll play rook d3, rook h8 just over. Because the h3 square is very comfortably covered. Okay, so that's not how it is. Rook h6 was played, a5, black's last lifeline, a5, a4, a3, a2, a1. But now rook d3. Good move over good move. Bishop into f2, black decides to sack his bishop. Queen into f2, queen into f2, king into f2, and now a4. Now he has to now white has to he precisely choose his moves because the black pawn is racing down the ranks, and now there's no going back for white. 3 passed pawns versus your only thing you have is your attack with you. If you have if black didn't have this bishop, you would play rook into h7 and then rook h3 and then rook h8. So let me demonstrate it. Let's say black had this bishop on c4. Just for demonstration, rook into h7, rook h3 check, rook h8 mate. That's why a4 was played in the game. Now bishop to e2. If you found this move, kudos to you, and if you found g4, kudos to you. Both are super strong moves. Not this one gets an exclamatory, this one also. Both moves have the same idea, to get this bishop out of my head now. Which is stronger? G4 is stronger, takes less time, because bishop into g4, bishop s3, I take your bishop. If you take, now I don't even take, I play rook into h7, king into h7, rook h3, and now rook h8 mate. So that's why. And now bishop e2 was played, but now rook a5, g4, rook into e5, bishop into e5, bishop to c4. Black is trying his last chances. Rook d to h3, bishop into e2 was played, but now bishop f6, precise. Rook e6, but now e5, bishop into g4, rook into h7, doesn't even care, rook into f6 check, and now final move, e into f6, and now just resignation. Okay, now let's see why resignation. Now you take on h3 because there's mate. Bishop into h3, rook into h3, and you can't defend this position because I will go with my rook and king, take your 3 pawns, and then you have nothing against me. So that's why I am winning here. Now let's go Now let's first summarize this game. So this was an amazing game by Juve. He just demonstrated his attacking potential. Everything started here with this. He played this bishop f4, a classy move with e3, good move. Here he played this knight e5, nice oppositional move, breaking the rules but for good. Bishop e2 prophylaxis. Here he played this queen a3, important decision. Then came this game changer, this rook c5, amazing tactical lift of the rook from c5 to h5. Then came this rook was literally hanging for how many moves this rook hanging on h5. It was from 23 to 28. This rook was hanging from 23 to 28. 4 whole moves, but no one dared to take it. And prize rook. Crazy. So a5, and now white had to be very careful about this bishop into f2, queen into f2 tactic. Here came, and now white had to be precise. Bishop e2 and g4. He chose bishop e2, and then this f6 bishop was just a monster throughout this game. Let's go to the daily puzzle. Okay. So now, wait, what? Okay, so now is white to play and win via with the daily puzzle. Pause the video and think what should you play. It's very important to not check in the answers, okay? So pause the video and think what will you play. Number was played rook e8 check. Incredible. What a move. If you found this, kudos to you. And be sure to write your answer in the comment section. I'll see them, okay? If not, you just write your answer in a copy or something and then check your answer honestly with mine. So rook e8 check, brilliant move. King into e8 is main line. If king g7, then comes f6, good move. And now king into f6 is rook into h8, and king h6 is also rook into h8. King into g6 is also just rook into h8. It's winning. It's winning. Also, it's winning. And if you see with the computer, rook e8 check. Let me increase the multiple lines. Is there any other way to win in this position? Rook e8 check is the only move to win in this position. Incredible, only move. Brilliant. Let's see. Now king into e8. So now it is played g7. Nice. Now rook g8. If you play rook h7, then just g8 is equal to queen, and I win. If you play rook to f8, rook to f8 is a move to look in. Here I can just play. There's a very pretty solution here. Pause the video and think what it might be. Okay, just keep your answer in your mind. We'll come back to this variation later. First Rook G8, and now pause the video and think what will you play. Okay, if you found F6, brilliant. What a nice move. Now it also gives us the answer to Rook F8. F6, brilliant. Rook G8 is only move. Rook H8 leads to G into H8 is equal to Queen. Check and mate. So Rook F8, F6, Rook G8, and now King C8. It's just lost now. Only move Rook H8, G into H8 is equal to Rook mate. I will do. Queen mate is also applicable, but Rook mate is more stylish. Okay, so F6, Rook G8, King C8, and now, and in the main line F6, here this is also mate. Rook, actually there's one more variation. Here if you play Rook F8, here if you play Rook F8, then I play not King C8 and repetition, but G into F8 is equal to Queen. King into F8, King D7, King G8, King E7, King H7, King into F7, King H8, King E8, King G8, F7 check, King D7, F8 is equal to Queen check, and white is winning. And now if you play Rook into G7, I play F into G7, and now F5, G8 is equal to Queen check, white is winning again. Now after G7, Rook G8, F6, in the variation F6, Rook G8, King C8. Here if you play Rook F8, then what? Then what should you play? Then I say you transpose. G into F8 is equal to Queen, King F8, King D8, King E8, King into F7, King E8, and now F7, F8 is equal to Queen. Again I win. And if you here play after King C8, Rook into G7, again I win here. So that's how you do it. So this was the daily puzzle. Let's look at its answer again. Rook E8, amazing move. If you manage to find all of this, just amazing, out of words. What? If you were able to find this, I am amazed by your brilliance. That's just astonishing. Okay? Remember that in mind. So this was the game. I hope you like it. Don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you.